Hello everyone, and welcome to the Greenhouse, the place where conversations take root and good vibes are always growing. My name's Judy and I'll be your host today. Today's conversation is one that many will recognize, whether through their own experience or someone they love. It's about navigating illness, facing uncertainty, and searching for ways to feel some sense of control and support along the way. This episode is titled RSO and the Big C. And the center of this story is one of resilience, advocacy, and turning personal experience into something that can help others. Joining us today is Leah Avilla. Hello, Leah.
Hello.
She comes to us, she is the COO of CavilLand and the founder of the Second Star organization. Leah, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Before we dive in, I do need to just get off a quick disclaimer that we want to make sure that you all know that we are not medical professionals. This conversation is based on personal experience and is intended for educational purposes only. Cannabis is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, and always consult your healthcare provider before making decisions about your health. Leah, let's get into this.
Absolutely.
Yay! So I just want to start, can you share a little bit about your journey and both personally, professionally, and what you're navigating through right now?
Well, in regards to cannabis, I have been a longtime supporter of cannabis ever since I was 14. And, I did it for many reasons that we all, kind of gravitate towards cannabis. Mm-hmm. But it became so much more than that to me through the years. In 2015, I started working professionally in the California market, and I've been doing it ever since. I work with a wholesale company, and I help do the branding and just make sure that the everyday, day-to-day stuff goes according to plan. Mm-hmm. In 2022, I was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer, which is one of the most aggressive cancers that one can get. Okay. And, for a long time, that was considered a death sentence. Right. And I started, treatment, beat it once, it came back in 24. I've been doing chemo now for about 2 years, again. And now I'm, working on Second Star. Second Star is, a foundation meant to get RSO into the hands of New Mexicans because of the accessibility is just not there.
Right, right. And so at what point did specifically RSO come into your journey? Like what made you decide, or how did you hear about it? Like what really turned that attention to the RSO, utilizing that?
Well, just like my first joint, RSO was given to me. Yeah. It's very communal cannabis. It brings people together and people want to share it and they want to share how it's helped them. And, friends, made me, when I got diagnosed, friends just made me RSO and they brought it to me.
Oh wow, what lovely friend.
And it was like they already knew because of what had happened and what they've seen in their lives. And so it was like an act of love that somebody did for me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love your story as well. I just have to bring attention to it because I just thought it was lovely.
Well, it's a testament to what I'm doing here, and it's trying to spread the love that cannabis has given me to the world.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And for listeners who might not be familiar, can you explain what RSO is and why it's now becoming a really big part of these conversations?
Well, the term RSO is short for Rick Simpson oil. Rick Simpson was a Canadian who was diagnosed with skin cancer in the early 2000s. And he really used this method of extraction using the whole plant theory and extracting the good parts of the plant and creating like a topical that he could use on his skin. And he realized that within days it started to disappear.
Oh wow.
Does it work with everything like that? I can't say, there's not enough research, but I can say that, with that it took on and it's just grown from there. And so it's evolved into a more, controlled homeopathic medicine or natural instead of, that man-made.
And you had mentioned the whole flower or the whole plant process. Can you just because that really interested me, what is the difference? Is there, because there's obviously different methods, right?
Oh, there's totally different methods and different ways for extractions. And I know everybody hears about doing dabs and, like rosin and resin and just what is RSO. And RSO is basically you take a solvent and you put the plant in the solvent and it breaks down all of the like physical properties and you get all of the good stuff out. So you're still getting terpenes, you're still getting all the different types of cannabinoids that necessarily wouldn't be there when you use something like distillate. Distillate doesn't have any terpenes. It doesn't have any. It's removed from everything that makes it that medical property. Like when we think about just the way you would use a lemon.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And so, one of the things that we've discussed is that RSO hasn't been very easy access to it, or even that education, right? Exactly what you said. We know resin, we know rosin, we know dabs, but RSO specifically. And so, what challenges did you see, or have you seen within your personal experience, as far as when it comes to getting it safe and manufactured, properly?
Accessibility is, I think, the most important thing we can talk about, is because it's not just me, I have access to it, but I'm in a privileged place within the cannabis community.
Right.
And so, people just make it and I have this knowledge and I can make it myself and I know how to safely do it. But that's not the case. And it's not even something that people necessarily want to buy. And so if you were just to go into any dispensary and try and buy it usually comes in a syringe, and if you were going to buy 1 gram of RSO, it could be $20 to $50. And that is astronomical when you think about, when you read about RSO, they want you to get up to taking 1 gram a day. And for people suffering medical and terminal illnesses, every penny, every cent counts. And it's very hard for someone to want to spend $40 on something that looks like black tar. They don't know anything about. There's no research. There's nothing. They don't even know how to take it. I'm just supposed to squirt it on a cracker? Like, there's nothing. It's just kind of like a hope and a prayer. And so now that we're moving out of that black market and we're moving into the traditional market, and now that it's being accepted, there's bigger companies and large laboratories that distill and make these with giant machines. And now we have all these regulations that you have to have it tested by accredited labs and it has to pass certain things. And that just wasn't happening in the past. And even from your base flour, we have to start with flour that isn't grown with pesticides and it isn't, been sitting in growing mold and things like that. And so I think just even though we have tested RSO, it's still not accessible because of the price and how hard it is to make. And so I think that's the biggest issue is trying to get it into the hands of people.
Well, and I love that you had brought up the whole black market, because that's something that I have heard a lot about as far as RSO. Watch who you get it from, watch how it's made. Sometimes it's not even real RSO. And so I think the things that we're talking about right now brings, a lot of education. And kind of eliminate some of the misconceptions as far as where to go, what to look for.
And you think, I'll just make it myself. And it's like, you have to go to the store and you have to spend upwards of $20 to $100 to buy flour. And then you're going to go spend that purchase and you're going to go dump ethanol on it. It just feels so wrong. And I'm going to I'm going to put ethanol and then I'm going to put it in a bucket and then I'm going to let it sit there. And then you have to purge it, and then you have to get all the alcohol out. And if you don't, you could make yourself sick. You could blow up your kitchen. You could hurt yourself and your family,
Yep. So there is definitely a black market, and then there's medical grade.
Oh, absolutely.
RSO that,
absolutely. Even stuff you get in stores necessarily, you know, you have to make sure you're buying, if you're going to get it in the store, make sure you're getting it from an accredited company that you trust, because even if it has a test result on it, doesn't necessarily mean that that's really what's in there.
Right, okay. That's really good, you know, really good tips. So what's something that I would, like if I went into a dispensary, what are maybe some questions I would want to ask, or, you know, to make sure that I'm getting medical grade and not anything that's...
Well, any RSO is going to be medical grade,
Okay.
If it's going to be in a store. And I would just make sure that you ask for test results, see that it is clean, that there's no pesticides and stuff in it, because not only does it test potency, but it tests for heavy metals and pesticides and things like that that should not be in there.
And customers can ask when they go into dispensaries to see, like,
Oh, absolutely.
the test results?
It's actually
Okay.
regulation that every dispensary must have a COA, which is a certificate of authenticity for every batch of every product that is in that store.
Okay.
And if they don't, they can get in a lot of trouble.
Awesome.
Like, it is mandatory. It's
Okay.
like the thing to do.
So if ever you are in question, ask for test results. And so you took that experience and you turned it into something much bigger with the Second Star organization. And so can you tell us about that?
Second Star really came because I have been navigating the cancer network in New Mexico. You know, I spend every other week, I'm in a building, you know, I spend 6 to 8 hours and I watch other people doing the same thing that I'm doing, and I watch them struggle. And I hear them, you know, we're all within, you know, as close as you and I are together, I'm in a room with 100 other people who are suffering as well. And you hear them ask questions, and you hear people say, well, what do I get? Where do I go? How do I know what to do? And I just want to stand up and be like, I can help you, but I'm not a medical professional. I'm not. And so I have to find an avenue and a way to be able to spread education and knowledge and then make it accessible. So Second Star is working all donation based, and it is striving to get RSO at no cost into the hands of New Mexicans if they are a medical patient. And so if they have a medical accreditation from the state of New Mexico and they fill out the form and they are approved, then we will give them RSO every month at no cost.
Oh, wow.
Anywhere in the state.
Wow. Well, and can we talk a little bit about your mission? The heal, advocate, and give back, right?
Yes. And so it's more, this is also an attempt to make some noise, right?
Yeah.
It's in the hopes of education. It's, let's get this in the hands so then more people are accepting and demanding research. And that's what it really is about, is I'm trying to, you know, further research to help even just me. You know, I was told that I would do chemo for the rest of my life until something better came along. And that just can't be the only thing. You know, it just can't. And so we need more research. We need more people learning and asking questions and saying, no, the standard of care isn't enough, and it's not. And so
there's other options.
There's other
as
options.
well, and there's variances that can be utilized, and you know, there's a place for everything. I feel
there is a place for everything, and I'm not saying I'm not going to stop chemo or don't listen to your doctors, because I absolutely do chemotherapy, but RSO helps me manage it helps me manage symptoms without taking more narcotics. And so I'm not taking 3 different types of anti-nausea. I'm not taking a ton of different drugs to go to sleep at night because I'm hopped up on steroids. I take a natural medication that helps me sleep, it helps me eat, keeps the pain away.
And we talked about earlier, when we were getting to know each other a bit, we taled about your wife, and you have a child and mother, and so a lot of those.
Oh no, I have a husband.
I mean, I'm
sorry.
The wife. Okay,
I'm the wife.
Exit out. I knew that. I knew that.
Life would be easier if I had a wife.
That's what we talked about yesterday, actually. Where were we? We were like, she was gonna say, these 2 ladies are my moms, and so we were gonna roll with that. You are a wife, is what I tried to say.
I am a wife, yes.
So let me back up. So in getting to know you, I know, you're a wife, a mother, and so being on narcotics,
it's not really an
day
option.
in, day out, yeah, that's hard.
No, because the life.
And you're a big COO boss, like,
Life doesn't stop for
No,
cancer. You
no.
can't. You have to just keep going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your story is so inspirational.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much again for being on today. We are definitely seeing people explore holistic approaches alongside with traditional care. And so from your perspective, what's really driving that shift? More, not more?
I think it's the lack of options.
Yeah.
And the efficacy of what's going on. And, they just keep throwing on, oh, well, this medication has other side effects, so now you have to take this medication, then you have to take this medication, and then it just becomes this whole big thing, and it's like, when does it stop?
Yeah.
And so the natural thing is getting back to exactly what it is. It's nature, it's your body, it's trying to find something else, something that you believe in that isn't just what's happening now.
Well, in all of our bodies, they have the endocannabinoid system, and so the RSO has those cannabinoids in them. So, do you feel in your time, have you tried the narcotics?
Oh, of course.
And then versus the RSO, what would you, as far as pain relief and things like that? I think, has it been something that has been easy?
I have a really hard time with taking pain pills.
Yeah.
They make me even more nauseous, and then it doesn't help, and it makes me constipated, and I don't need any help with that because chemo's already doing that for me, and so it wasn't helping, and then it's just more, and then the brain fog and forgetting, and that's just it doesn't help.
No, there's a whole nother list of symptoms that then become apparent.
Become a thing, and then it's like, and it's habit forming, and that's the last thing I need is to all of a sudden be addicted to drugs too.
Yeah.
So,
And there's still a stigma, I think, when it comes to cannabis.
Absolutely.
Especially in medical conversations, and especially when people are maybe choosing to utilize that versus traditional care. What has been your experience with that and the stigmas associated with that?
I think people lose focus when they hear cannabis, and they automatically think about mind-altering substances, and that's not what it's always about. It's not about getting high. It's about finding relief, and it's about using a natural medicine. And I think people they can't get over that, and they don't, and that's just, it was illegal for some time. It can be against some people's religions, or it could be, there's just different things that I have a dear friend of mine's mom is going through. She has brain cancer, and she won't take RSO because it is against her religion, and it's something that I'm like, I wish they would just dose her, but it's a moral thing for her, and it's not just, and I just wish that's something I could, she's not eating, and I'm like,
this could help.
It could. It could not too. I mean, it's different for everybody. Everybody's bodies react differently, and so, but you don't know until you try.
Well, and a lot of the older population as well, they've been fed the whole cannabis is devil's lettuce and don't do it. And so I think that really hinders people stepping outside of their comfort zone of just traditional care and looking for other avenues, looking for other ways to maybe just feel better.
Exactly. And I think another thing too is that people don't understand that it's not just a plant that you put in a pipe and smoke. And I urge a lot of elderly people to go into a dispensary and ask questions. Second Star started because I saw a need that there was a deficit in the New Mexican market. There wasn't pain relief creams, there wasn't salt scrubs, there wasn't different, lotions and stuff that were of the quality that I was used to when I was living in California. And so we made them, and it's like, okay, well, if I can't have that salt scrub, then I'm, this is, and
I'm going to share.
And I'm going to share
I'm going to make it for myself, and I'm going to share this loveliness to everybody.
And that's the thing. It's like you can go and you can, this salt is not going to get you high, but you have bad knees and you soak in it, it's going to relieve your muscle pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to do something.
It's going to do something.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not always, getting stoned.
Yep. Yep. That's the biggest misconception.
That's
I think
it.
That, I always hear. And for somebody that's listening and they might be curious, but they're unsure, what's important for them to understand before trying something like this or
start small.
partaking? Okay.
Always start little bits and wait. Time is your friend. Start with a little bit, wait 2 hours, because how it works is that, especially when you're doing edibles, is it works on your metabolism, and his metabolism is at different, speeds. And so, especially different products are at different speeds. If something has sugar in it, it's going to metabolize faster. If it doesn't have sugar in it, it's going to take a little bit longer. And so it all just depends. And so I would just, be patient and do a little bit at a time, and then work your way up to something that is like a more like a therapeutic dose. You don't have to just go in, balls to the wall and just take it all at one time.
And oftentimes when you do that, there's usually some, you
Anxiety.
have an experience a negative, side effect, and then you're just all together like, I don't want to do this. And so
it's a good thing with RSO that if you take too much, you're probably just going to get anxious and fall asleep.
Okay.
That's
good to know.
There's ways to combat that, like drink some coffee, CBD.
That's way better than the list of symptoms that, we talked about before with the narcotics.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what would you say? Would you say it's very important to make sure that you're talking to your healthcare professional if you are going to go ahead and utilize RSO in treatment or whatever have you? I would.
I have had several doctors. I've had the opposite end of the spectrum. I've had where doctors are like, you probably shouldn't do that. And then I have doctors that are like, you can do whatever you want, smoke as much pot as you want, do RSO. But it's good to keep open communication with your doctors, because if you are having a side effect, or if there is a medication that is going to have like an adverse effect, then you need to know. Or if something isn't working because of cannabis, couldn't imagine what, but you just never know.
There are stranger things.
Yeah.
And so avoiding self-diagnosis and unsafe practices, obviously going to the dispensary, talking to your doctor about it. Anything else that you might want to add onto there, as a starter? Like, I'm thinking about trying this. What are the things I need?
I would just do your research, make your own opinions, just like you would if you were going to pick out, if you were going to watch softball or pick out a new doctor or a therapist. You would do research. You would go online. You would, read certain things. You would pick what you thought was creditable.
Right. What makes sense to you.
What makes sense. You would see commonalities and say, oh, this... They all keep saying the same thing.
Yeah, maybe there's something to this.
Maybe there's something to this. Yeah. And then you have to really draw your own conclusions.
Right.
And that's even in the traditional medical field too.
Oh yeah. Second opinions and
second opinions.
You're not always going to necessarily take what the first one tells you as as word. But yeah.
Well, medicine is constantly evolving. Constantly growing. There's new tests, there's new clinical trials. I just participated in a clinical trial, and they're coming out with new ones every day. And I just urge people to, if you can participate, please participate in clinical trials, because you could save someone's life.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And if you could talk just directly to somebody who's going through what you're going through right now, what would you want them to hear?
You're not alone.
You are loved.
You are loved.
Yeah, look at that. I love you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so where can people learn more about the Second Star organization and the work that you're doing with that, with RSO?
Well,
here in New
we
Mexico?
have a website. You can go to loudcloudlabs.com/second star, and that is with the two. It is second star to the right,
Okay.
straight on till morning. You know, it's meant to give that childlike hope.
Yeah.
You go there, and then you can read more about it. There's also a vendor form that if you want to donate time, money, product, even just spreading word of mouth, different things like that, you can donate there, and you can also sign up for donations. And so there's just a couple of forms you fill out, and then you fill it out, and then we contact you.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so our main mission here at Stoners Haven is to continue changing views on cannabis through education and openness. This podcast is a big part of that mission as we aim to tackle misconceptions, explore wellness, and break stigmas through hard-to-have conversations and open dialogue. Leah, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story, your strength, and the work that you're doing for others. You're so inspirational. It's an inspiring story.
Thank you.
Any way that we can help here at Stoners Haven, please do not hesitate. We'd love to join with you and do anything that we can. And to our amazing listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this episode today at the Greenhouse. If today's episode resonated with you, we encourage you to continue learning, asking questions, and having these important conversations. And of course, listen in to our new episode. To make sure that you don't miss a single episode, make sure that you subscribe and follow us on social media. And if you have any questions or ideas for future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. Just send us an email at thegreenhouse@stonershaven.com. And until next time, keep the good vibes growing and stay lifted.